A bully at school mocked me constantly and yanked my feeding tube out. She was on the floor crying when I fought back. I'm a 16-year-old girl, and I have a feeding tube because my esophagus is partially paralyzed. The feeding tube in question goes in through my nose. The reason I have it in my nose as opposed to my stomach is because it's a little easier to manage. There's this girl in my class named Jane, and she's a bully. She would always make gestures towards her nose, or she would take her headphone cord and put it on her face like my feeding tube is on mine. At first, I just ignored her. I thought she was curious about it, which is understandable since it's different, and it's normal to be weirded out by something you've never seen before. I'm always okay with people asking me questions because I know it's natural to be curious. So I told her it was a feeding tube and that if she was curious, she could ask me anything about it and I wouldn't be offended. But no, that wasn't the case. She was just being rude. One day, I was talking to one of my friends at lunch when Jane came up behind me, grabbed my tube, and pulled it partially out. I don't even need to explain why that's dangerous. I immediately turned around and punched her as hard as I could. I ended up giving her a black eye, then kicked her in the stomach, which broke one of her ribs. Jane was on the floor crying when the security guard walked up to us and asked what had happened. I told them what she did. I was taken to the principal's office where I was lectured about how what I did was wrong. I don't really remember the lecture. The principal then said, "You have two options. We can either call your grandparents, make you apologize to the girl, and suspend you for 2 days, or we can suspend you for 2 weeks." I said, "Just suspend me for the 2 weeks." When I got home, my grandparents were mad. I explained the situation to them, but I don't know what happened to Jane. I want to know if I went too far with breaking one of her ribs. I did get the tube figured out and she didn't cause much damage. I just need an outside perspective on what happened. Update. I found out that Jane got expelled. I'm gonna clear the air. My grandparents have been fully on my side, and Jane has also been made to apologize to me.